Hello, my friend, and welcome to Fear into Faith, Miracles, Signs, and Wonders edition. I'm your host, Summer Day, and today we have a miracle story of how heaven found this woman on a Greyhound bus, and her name is Miss Crystal Souvenir Jordan.
Hey.
I got it right that time, right?
You did get it right that
Woo-hoo!
time. Yes.
High fives. High fives.
High fives.
How you doing, gorgeous?
I am walking in the miraculous.
Yes, you are walking in the miraculous. I love it.
you?
That's a big inside joke between the two of us that we may or may not share with the audience watching right now.
Possibly, we don't know.
Well, let's start with where you're from.
Well, I live in Texas, near the San Antonio area, but I was a military brat, so I was born in Louisiana and raised internationally.
All right.
I'm from the planet Earth.
I'm from planet Earth. We're so glad you're here with us. And you married?
I am married, 27 years to an amazing anointed man of God.
I love it. And kids?
Yes. I have two of the most beautiful girls God ever created and one son currently safe in his arms.
That's good. And what do you do, darling?
So, I am a marital intimacy coach. What I do is I help married couples who have been hit by life so hard it just strikes the very core of who they are. I help them regain, repair, and maintain intimacy between each other and between them and God. Because
So good.
I believe marriage is a triangle with God at the top, right? So the closer you get to God, the closer you get to each other. And through the reparation of that intimacy, they're girded and stable and have a foundation to face anything that life throws at them.
Man, you're one of those people just like slightly a little bit passionate about what you do.
A little bit.
You know what? I feel like before we talk about your heaven experience on a Greyhound bus, I feel like we do have to maybe open the curtain, let people in on the why we're laughing so hard about how you doing, walking in the miraculous.
Okay.
Can we share that story?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, share the story of, well, for people who don't know, you and I have been hanging out for a while. You've
Yes.
been a coaching client of mine for last
year
year
and
and a
a
half.
half.
Crazy what God's done.
Yes.
Where did we first meet?
I came to your Fear Crushers Challenge. You did a free 5-day challenge.
Bummer. I thought we first met when I shoved a microphone in your face. I
No,
liked that version.
That was when we first had face-to-face interaction, and you literally kicked me off the proverbial log.
I kicked you off the proverbial log.
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
So you did this training and you were asking everybody, the basis of it was the enemy is obviously trying to stop you from fulfilling your
And this was
destiny.
at our Fear into Faith live
conference.
event.
Yes,
okay?
Fear into Faith live. And it's a whole experience. And so you are asking everybody, what is the enemy trying to stop you from doing? Write it down. So we wrote it down, and then you said, what are you going to do about it? And you were like, get mad. You know, you have a mission, you have a purpose, and the enemy is trying to keep you bogged down in shame and fear and condemnation and guilt and all these other things.
Yeah.
Get mad. What are you going to do? So you started walking around the room with the microphone. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And you walked right past me, and I thought, whew, safe. And then you turned around and said, what are you going to do about it?
You thought you were safe, and I was
safe.
being sneaky.
Yes. Well, you know, because every time I have a plan, God's like, watch this.
Watch me work.
Exactly.
So you've got a microphone in your face now, and what happens?
I said, I am going to sing the praises of God so that the anointing can flow long enough to rebuke the enemy so that people can hear from God. And you said, so do it. And the next thing I knew, I was on stage like,
yeah, I was like, so do it. Why don't you sing right now? Get out of your chair and get on stage.
Yeah.
And then you sang, and you were amazing. And you already know the next part that happens. You got to sing for us today.
I knew you was going to do this to me.
I didn't know. I was not planning on that, but that's the next part of the story.
That's the next part of the
you
story.
You need to sing everywhere, anytime you get a chance.
Every time I get a chance. Okay. What one today? Every day is a good day to give thanks to the Lord. Every day is a good day to give thanks to the Lord. Every day is a good day to give thanks to the Lord. We give thanks unto the Lord for what He's done for us. For He has done great things. He has done great things. He has done great things for us. He has done great things. He's done great things. So give thanks unto the Lord for what he's done for us.
Woo! So good. I love it. I'm just, every time I see you, Crystal sing, Crystal sing, Crystal sing.
It's kind of the story of my life now.
So good. So that's how we met.
Yes.
At the conference. And I loved it. I didn't know if you could sing or not. I just was like, you know, Holy Spirit, I'm going to trust you. And if she's got the mic and she's saying, I need to be singing, let's just get her to sing right now. And everyone went crazy. I mean, that whole audience jumped to their feet. They were with you. It was awesome.
Phone cameras came out. I was like, okay.
And then you started doing my coaching program, our
Yes.
Fear into Faith Academy that we have, which was awesome.
Yes.
And I remember we were doing a coaching session where I was talking to people about, you know, you're here because you're going to change the status quo. Everybody in the world says, how you doing? Fine. How you doing? Good. Okay. And so I told all the clients, nope, you're done.
Yep.
You're going to pick something else. What are you going to say instead of okay, fine, or good? You're going to say, I am doing fantastic, or I'm doing amazing. Pick a different word.
Right.
And what did you pick?
I said I am blessed and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored.
Yes, which threw everybody in my life, because in our culture, saying I'm blessed is kind of a natural thing to, it's kind of what we do. How you doing? I'm blessed. Yeah, I'm blessed too. Okay, whatever. But nobody really means it, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to say I'm blessed and highly favored no matter what it looks like. So I go into work. How you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored, and I'm limping. How you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored, and I'm holding my back. How you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored. You know, it didn't matter what it was look like.
You said it every day.
Blessed and highly favored. And finally somebody said, but you don't sing blessed and highly favored. And I had to take a second and say, you know what? It's in the minutia. I can dress myself. I can take care of myself. My kids are alive. My husband is okay. My parents are alive. I have a roof over my head. I have food. I have a car. I'm blessed and highly favored. You start counting your blessings.
Yeah.
You know, you're blessed and highly favored. So what was happening was they would ask me how I'm doing. I'd say I'm blessed and highly favored, and I'd get an eye roll. Oh my God, here she comes.
And these are people at work,
Yes.
and you were working at school at the time, right?
Yes, driving a school bus.
Oh, driving a school
So,
bus.
all right. Beep, beep.
So good. Okay.
So they would literally roll their eyes like, can you roll your eyes any harder? It was so bad. And then it became, how you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored. Yeah, okay, I'm all right. And then, how you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored. And then, how you doing? Because they're waiting for me to say, I'm blessed and highly favored.
They started waiting for it.
Yeah.
They were like, I can't wait to hear you.
I'm blessed and highly favored. Yeah, you are. And then it was, how you doing, blessed and highly favored? Yeah, I'm blessed and highly favored. How you doing, blessed and highly favored? I sure am. And then it was, how you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored. How you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored too.
They started saying it back to you. So they went from teasing, rolling their eyes to now they're just starting to say it back.
Back to me, yep. And as a matter of fact, at the end of last year, somebody said, how are you doing? And somebody else said, you know, she don't have no other answer. She's blessed and highly favored.
That's awesome.
Love it.
They're like, we already know her script.
Blessed and highly favored.
Okay, but something has changed.
Yes.
Because when I asked you how you were doing at the beginning of this show, you didn't say that. You said what?
I said walking in the miraculous.
Okay.
So
tell us about that.
So about 2.5 months ago, God said, you're done with blessed and highly favored. It's time to level up.
Time to level up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You're walking in the miraculous. And my whole body went, what did you just say to me? Yeah, you're walking in the miraculous now. Okay. That's what it is. So,
okay, I'm going to pause you right there, cracking me up. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back in just one moment. We are back with Crystal Souvenir Jordan. Yes. We cut you off right in the middle of the story, working as a bus driver at a school. You got everybody there saying they're blessed and highly favored, and then the Lord's like, screeching stop. You are leveling up.
Yes.
And he tells you, what are you leveling up to?
I am walking in the miraculous.
And so the Lord wants you to reply when people say, how you doing, Crystal? To reply with, I'm walking in the miraculous.
Yes.
Okay, so did you start doing that at school?
Yes.
And what happened?
It threw people at first because in their minds, I'm not allowed to say anything but blessed and highly favored,
Yeah,
not
okay,
like, not how are you doing? So I said, I'm walking in the miraculous. And it was like, wait, that wasn't the right answer. What's happening? God leveled me up. Some of them are repeating it back to me, and they're saying, I'm walking in the miraculous too. Some of them are just saying, yes, you are. Some of them are just like, yeah, I'm not dead yet.
They're like, I'm still blessed and highly favored. I'm not ready to move on.
Exactly. And I actually had one coworker tell me yesterday, she said, I was driving in my bus and I started to think about how I am really blessed and highly favored.
Wow.
And I was thinking about everything that God has done in my life and then she said, and then I was driving by and I saw you at one of those drive-through prayer things. It was just, wow. I was like, okay, look at you, God.
I love it.
I'm not mad at you.
I'm not mad at you. So good. Well, let's talk about your story. And your story's about, I love the title. It's like how heaven found you on a Greyhound bus.
Yes.
How many years ago did this take place?
25.
Wow.
I know. You can't tell, right?
No, you look 21, as do I.
That's what I'm saying.
And this was, is this one of those stories like you just remember it like it was yesterday?
Yes. Because I was pregnant with my first daughter, which is how I know how many years ago it was.
Pregnant with your first daughter?
Yes. And I was 20 years old, and I knew everything, right?
You knew everything?
I knew everything. Like I had all the secrets of life and
as 20-year-olds think they know.
I was so brilliant. And I married my husband out of defiance. My church, I wasn't, real happy with their assessment of my situation. And I said, I'm going to show you because I know everything. And I married this man. So now I'm pregnant. We're living in New York. I'm not in a situation where I'm entirely comfortable. I'm away from my family, everything I love, everything I know, with the exception of my husband. And I felt like I was being attacked from every angle from the people in my space. I had essentially walked away from God. I felt like he didn't see me. He didn't hear me. My little piddly problems were not enough for him to take notice of because, look at the world we live in, right? There's so much going on, so many other problems that he could deal with other than my little see me, hear me issue. It was I complained about the shoes hurting my feet until I met a man with no feet situation.
Wow.
And so I was comparing my pain to the world's pain and decided that my pain wasn't worth his time. And I know now that that was a lie of the enemy, but I felt very disconnected from God, very separated and very alone. And I was what I call pregnancy mad.
Pregnancy mad?
Pregnancy mad.
What is pregnancy mad?
So things that don't normally irritate you, when you're pregnant, get on your last nerve. It's like somebody just took some tap shoes and found the last one and just started going Gregory Hines on them bad boys.
Gregory Hines,
yes.
I know this. I have a friend, she's like one of those sweet, sweet humans. Like if there's angels that are born among us, she's one. And she told me a story about being 8 months pregnant and somebody parked too close to her car and she was so mad she started keying the car.
Oh no.
And I'm like, you were keying the car? She was pregnancy mad.
Pregnancy mad.
Where it cannot be held against you because your hormones are so out of control. Who knows what you're gonna do next?
Exactly. So I decided I'm going home.
How far along were you?
4.5 months.
Okay.
I'm going home. I want my mom, I want my dad. I don't want to be in New York. Everything that I knew about New York, I learned mostly from TV.
Yeah, it's not the same.
And my father was raised in New York from the time he was 13, I believe. He's from South America. They migrated to New York. My mother is from Bridgeport, Connecticut. So I knew a little bit about the East Coast from traveling there to visit family, but I was a child. So everything that I knew was from a child's eyes and from TV. Now, my dream of living in New York, because I wanted to live in New York, I was supposed to live in a high-rise apartment. Right? I was supposed to work in a high-rise building and wear power suits and have power lunches and dominate a male-dominated field.
That was your vision.
But I did not know what the job was going to be. I just knew that that was where the space I was going to take up. What the reality was I was a 20-year-old living in my mother-in-law's house with my husband, pregnant. I didn't have a job. I was scared of the city because I knew two things about New York, either the very good side or the gangs and the drugs and the guns and whatnot. I didn't know anything about the in-between. I was scared to drive. I was scared to go on the subway. I was pretty much paralyzed and in that house all day, every day, unless my husband took me out. And I was miserable and I was alone and just so sad. I'm going home. So I get on
With going home, are you planning on like leaving your husband?
Yes.
Get divorced?
I'm gone. Bye.
Wow.
Bye-ness. Holla.
Peace out.
I was moving on. I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. I can't do this. Gone. The only thing I knew for certain was that I was keeping the baby. Everything else was up in the air. So he bought me a bus ticket home.
And did your parents know you were coming home?
They did. And it was a 3-day tour. 3-day trip. For some reason, my mind went to Gilligan's Island.
3-day tour.
It was a 3-hour tour, but it's a 3-day, I don't know.
3-day tour.
3-day tours. It was a 3-day trip, and every day I was harassed so much. The first day, I was asleep on the bus or pretending to be asleep because I didn't want to sit by anybody. And the bus driver came back and he said, "Hey, wake up, I got a man for you." I know, right?
What?
It doesn't get much creepier than that, except
No.
it did. So this guy sits down next to me. He's got a jerry curl. The only thing I could think was like broke down Superfly. It was just, it was all kinds of wrong. Like the 70s threw up this man.
The 70s threw up this man. Wow.
Yeah, it was so bad. And he sat next to me, and about 5 minutes after the bus starts rolling, he leans on my shoulder. So I push him off of me. He leans on my shoulder again. I push him off of me. The third time I said, "Do you want the window? Because I'm not your pillow.
Wow.
And I'm not your personal bed. You can have the window."
Yeah.
So he says, "Yes." So I said, "Okay. You have to move so I can get out, so you can move over." So instead of moving, he turns to the side. So I have to walk past him now. And I'm walking past and I'm saying, "Please don't touch me. Please don't touch me. I don't want to go to jail tonight for hurting somebody. Please don't touch me. Please don't touch me. Don't touch me." He didn't. He moves over. A couple of minutes later, he's leaning on my shoulder again.
Oh, no.
To push him into the window, I was very hard about it at this point.
Yeah.
I think he made a thunk contact because the pregnancy mad kicked in.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Get off me."
Yeah.
My bag was under his seat now because it was my seat. So he leaned over to get the bag, and he puts his arm around me, and he rests his arm right here on my hip, really close to being on my behind. Now, at that time, I had rings on every finger.
Oh, no.
Real big rings, diamonds, and rubies. And on this particular one, I had a bunch of them because I just needed the world to know how well loved I was. And I went, pow.
Oh, come on.
And then just kind of scraped it down.
Ooh.
I didn't say anything to him. And he moved his hand. And I was irritated because there were men on the bus. They said nothing.
Wow.
They did nothing.
Wow.
They saw this man harassing me, and nobody stepped in to help protect me from this man.
Wow.
Nobody would trade seats with me.
Wow.
The bus driver would not do anything.
Okay, I'm going to pause you right there. We have to take a break right there.
Yes.
We'll be back right after this. We are back with Crystal in the studio, and that was such a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So you're on the bus, and you're getting harassed by this man. You've
Yes.
backhand him, and all these other men on the bus driver wouldn't change your seat. No one's doing anything about it.
No.
Horrible.
And his wife was in the front seat.
What?
Exactly. I'm like, dude, I could have traded places with her, and y'all could have did whatever y'all want to do in the back seat and leave me out of it. But no, I got to be harassed. So day 2, I'm on a different bus because transfers, right? Fresh driver, all of that. And this guy is sitting behind me, and I think he was really high.
Same guy, new guy?
New guy.
New guy.
I think he was high. I'm pretty sure he was. Because the whole time this particular set of harassments happened, everybody kept saying, "Oh, it's fine, he's high." But it's not fine, right? So he's behind me. He starts yelling at me to get out of his bedroom. And I'm saying, "But this is a bus,
Oh, no.
and this is a seat, and that's your seat, and so not in your bedroom." And then he reached up, and I don't know what it is he reached up and he started messing with my side, and I just grabbed his finger and pulled it back. I was very vicious at
Wow.
this point in my life because stop touching me,
Yeah.
right? And he said, "You need to get out of my bedroom, or it's gonna get really ugly really quick." And again, nobody stepped in
Wow.
to help with the situation. He tried to take my bags from me. He kept trying to pull them under the seat and getting mad at me because I wouldn't let him take my bags. At one point, he stood up in front of me and threatened me. He was like, "If you don't get out of the bedroom, I'm going to undress and pee on you."
What?
Kid you not.
What? And no one's doing anything. And the
Nobody
bus
did
driver's
anything.
not. What?
Nothing.
I'm
I'm
so
like-
glad I'm not riding a Greyhound bus.
So he proceeds to try to undress let's just say I stopped him and leave it at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Angry pregnant stopped him.
Angry pregnant stop. Super angry. And so that was the end of that. So day 3, I'm frustrated.
You are worn out.
I'm
Frustrated.
tired. I'm hungry because I haven't had a chance to eat anything. I'm tired because I didn't feel safe enough to sleep any. You know,
Wow.
my babies have a tendency to crawl into my lungs and push everything into my throat, so I couldn't breathe. It was just, it was a rough, and I'm just standing there, I'm like, God obviously does not care about me. He's obviously not listening to me at all. And then I look up and there's this woman in front of me. Now, if you were to picture her, think of like the female from the Curious George cartoons and Laura Croft.
Wow.
So facial features and whatnot like Curious George cartoons, and then the clothing of Laura Croft.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, that's a combination. But when I looked at her, she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen.
Wow.
And I could not understand, because in reality, she was very plain, you know, very, very basic, very ordinary. But for me, in that moment, she was stunning. Mm. And immediately, I felt so much peace, and I felt love, and I felt just like all of the fire-breathing dragon inside of me was just like,
wow,
calm waters. And there's that movie, Waiting to Exhale. Mm-hmm. That's a term that didn't make sense to me until I was able to actually exhale.
Wow.
And most importantly, I felt safe. I want to say probably the first time in a good 3-4 months that I actually just felt super safe.
Just from seeing this woman?
Just from seeing her. And I said to her, I said, you are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Like, I don't understand what's happening right now. You're almost luminous. You're stunning. And I was just stuck in this space of wow. And she just smiled at me and she said, oh, baby, that's just the glory of God. And I was like, wow, you're so pretty. I was just stuck there. And she said, isn't it amazing how God cares about the very smallest detail of your life? And if you notice, from that day to this, even when I was doing the Blessed and Highly Favored, I say God is in the minutia. Yeah. He's in the smallest details, right?
Wow.
From that space and time. Isn't it wonderful how he cares about the very smallest detail of your life? And I thought, yeah. But it was like, I had just said he doesn't care about but now here I am with this woman and she's gorgeous. And I'm like, God does care, yeah. And I get on the bus and I'm thinking, okay, I have to sit by this person. Like, I don't understand what's going on.
No more harassing men, you're gonna sit by her.
Yeah, it was like, I'm gonna be safe, I'm gonna have peace, I'm gonna get to rest, I'm gonna just be okay for a minute, just to breathe. I have to sit by her. She was nowhere to be found. And I'm sitting there stupefied. I didn't even realize what had happened.
She got on the bus and then was nowhere to be found.
I'm like, it's a bus. Where is she gonna go, right? I walked up and down the aisle several times to the bus driver, said, ma'am, can you just pick a seat? This is not like the airplanes. You don't have assigned seats. Just pick a seat. I didn't want to just pick a seat. I wanted the seat by her, but she wasn't there. But it was in that space and time that I realized that it doesn't have to be a great big miraculous healing. It doesn't have to be this massive booming thunderous voice. It doesn't have to be this thing that everybody's like, oh my gosh, wow, that's so amazing. Sometimes I could not reach heaven, and heaven just reached out to me.
Wow, wow. So do you believe that woman was an angel?
I do. I do. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. And then not long after that, I was back at home with my husband. We'd been talking daily, and I went back home. And I was laying in bed, and I was so hot. It was that hot where you're asleep, but you're aware of everything is going around you. And I opened my eyes, and at the corners of my bed were 4 angels. And they had their wings spread out, and they were covering the sides of the bed. So the whole bed was covered, and I had the most peaceful sleep after that. And in my sleep, I actually dreamed about 4 angels. Wow. There was one in front of me. I was walking through the streets of Manhattan pregnant, and he was swinging a sword in front of me as we walked. Wow. I had 2 next to me that were not warriors. They were in white robes. One had his hand on my heart and my mouth, a hand on my mouth, and the other had both his hands over my ears. Wow. And then behind me, there was a 4th angel, and he was bigger than all of them. He was massive, and he was just like mean mugging the world, like just Try me.
Just try me.
Go ahead. I dare you. And the second I saw his face, I heard the name Nehemus. And I'm like, okay, is that supposed to be my baby's name? What's going on there? My daughter's middle name is Naima.
Wow.
My husband did not want that to be her first name. We named her Monique. It means wise counselor, and then Naima means the blessed one. And what happened was a couple of days later, I saw a young lady in the store, and she had that name tag. And I was like, what is your name? What does it mean? And she pronounced it for me, and she told me what it meant. And I was like, that's this baby's name.
Wow.
And so that was kind of, that was my experience where I could not reach heaven. And I was in a space where I didn't think I was worthy of.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was important enough. I wasn't important enough. And God simply said, no, you don't get to stay in that space, because that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not the character of who I am. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be this big, miraculous thunder and lightning and crashing.
That's why I picked your story to be in the journal, because I love that it was simple, and I love that it was like, okay, well, what else was this but an angel? Because how do you get on a bus and then you're not there?
Not there.
Like, where did the person go? And also because there are stories. I mean, we just had a baby that had a tumor that completely disappeared, documented miracle. We've had so many great stuff, but I think your story is about how God sent an angel on a bus to tell you that the small things matter, to tell you that you were seen. And I wanted your story to do that for other people, to tell them, there's little miracles and there's little things, and God will send an angel to you on a bus, but you need to be paying attention. I think a lot of times people miss the miracles, they miss the signs because they're not paying attention.
Not paying attention.
And your life was changed from that. You now always talk about the small little things and how God sees you in the small things. He really powerfully used that moment from that moment in your life on forward.
And see, not just me. It's like, Joseph with this coat of many colors, right? He moved through all of these things that looked like it was going to take his life out, but God set him up so that he could eventually save his family's life and those lives around him. So I had this thing happen to me, and I look at the minutia from my life, but what's happened is the people that I come in contact with, when I say I'm blessed and highly favored, I'm walking in the miraculous, they're like, yeah, no, you're limping, you're in debt, you got this going on, you got that. Yeah, but look at the minutia of my life, and I break it down for them, and then they're like, wait a minute, just like my coworker, she's like, I have my kids, I have my grandkids, I have a home, I have a job, I have this, I have that. And then she just began to glorify God on the bus while she was driving because she's looking at the minutia of her life. And that for me.
So good. It's all the things, all encompassing.
All the things, yes.
Well, we are super at time, my love. I know I could talk to you all day. You're so much fun.
Yes,
thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You are blessed and highly favored. You are walking in the miraculous.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
thanks for being here. And thanks for watching. I pray that God opens your eyes today, my friend, that maybe, just maybe, there's little things happening all around you where God's moving and angels are there and you don't know it. I pray that you have eyes to see and ears to hear today, my friend, and that you're inspired by Crystal's story. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye.